Imagine a world where a woman's worth is judged by a single physical attribute, a world where her value is reduced to a mere physical examination. This is the harsh reality for many women in Morocco and beyond, where societal norms and traditions continue to enforce such practices. The age-old practice of virginity testing continues to hold sway, affecting the lives of countless women. Virginity testing, in its simplest form, is the examination of a woman's hymen to determine whether she is engaged in sexual intercourse, a method both invasive and unreliable. This practice, often shrouded in secrecy and shame, has devastating consequences for countless women, leading to emotional and psychological trauma. The very notion that a thin membrane can determine a woman's virtue is not only scientifically inaccurate, but also deeply demeaning, reducing her worth to a physical state. The hymen can be torn through various activities, including sports or even tampon use, making it an unreliable indicator of sexual history. Its presence or absence is not a reliable indicator of sexual history, yet the myth persists. International organizations, including the World Health Organization and the United Nations, have unequivocally condemned virginity testing as a violation of human rights, calling for its global eradication. These organizations recognize that the practice is rooted in gender inequality and harmful stereotypes about women's sexuality, perpetuating discrimination. Despite this condemnation, virginity testing persists in many corners of the world, a stark reminder of the long road ahead in the fight for women's rights and bodily autonomy. The journey towards ending this practice is ongoing, but with continued advocacy and education, change is possible. In Morocco, the pressure on women to conform to societal expectations of purity and virginity is immense. This pressure is deeply rooted in cultural and religious beliefs that have been passed down through generations. Virginity is often seen as a matter of family honor, and a daughter's perceived chastity can have far-reaching implications for her family's standing within the community. The concept of honor is intertwined with the idea of purity, making it a sensitive and critical issue. While there is no legal requirement for women to be virgins before marriage, societal and familial pressures often make it feel like an unspoken law. These pressures can be so intense that they dictate the choices and freedoms of young women. Virginity testing in Morocco can take various forms, each with its own set of implications and consequences. In some cases, it involves a physical examination by a doctor, who then issues a certificate attesting to the woman's virginity. This medical certificate is often seen as a crucial document for marriage negotiations. This certificate may be presented to the future husband or his family as proof of purity, serving as a guarantee of the bride's chastity. In other instances, the practice is less formal, with older women within the family inspecting the bed sheets after the wedding night for signs of blood, supposedly indicating a torn hymen. This method is not only invasive but also scientifically unreliable. The pervasiveness of this practice is a testament to the enduring influence of tradition and patriarchy within Moroccan society. It highlights the challenges faced by women in navigating these deeply ingrained cultural norms. Despite growing awareness of the harmful effects of virginity testing, many families continue to uphold this practice, often justifying it as a way to protect their daughters' reputations and ensure their marriageability. The struggle for change continues, as more voices rise against this outdated and harmful tradition. The consequences of failing to meet these societal expectations can be devastating for Moroccan women. Those who are deemed not to be virgins face ostracism, shame, and even violence. Families may disown their daughters, while husbands may seek divorce or annulment, leaving women socially isolated and economically vulnerable. The psychological toll of virginity testing is equally profound. The fear and anxiety surrounding the test, coupled with the shame and humiliation of a perceived failure, can leave lasting emotional scars. Many women experience depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of this practice. Furthermore, virginity testing reinforces harmful gender norms that limit women's agency and control over their own bodies. It perpetuates the idea that a woman's worth is tied to her sexual history and undermines her right to privacy and bodily autonomy. Fatima, a young woman from a small village in Morocco, knows firsthand the devastating impact of virginity testing. This practice, deeply rooted in cultural traditions, has left scars that run deep within her soul. Growing up, she was constantly reminded of the importance of preserving her virginity until marriage. It was a lesson ingrained in her from a very young age, a lesson that dictated her every move and decision. Her grandmother would tell her stories of girls who had brought shame upon their families by engaging in premarital sex, their reputations forever tarnished. These cautionary tales were meant to instill fear and obedience. When Fatima met and fell in love with a young man from a neighboring village, she believed she had found her soulmate. Their love blossomed in secret, away from the prying eyes of their conservative community. They dreamed of a future together, but their happiness was short-lived. The societal pressures and expectations soon caught up with them. Fatima's future in-laws demanded proof of her virginity before agreeing to the marriage. This demand was not just a formality, it was a test of her worthiness. Terrified of the consequences if she refused, Fatima agreed to the test. The fear of bringing dishonor to her family was overwhelming. The examination was both physically painful and emotionally scarring. It was an invasion of her privacy and a violation of her body. To her horror, the doctor declared that her hymen was not intact, implying that she was not a virgin. This declaration shattered her world. Fatima's world came crashing down. The weight of the judgment was unbearable. Her fiancé's family withdrew their support for the marriage, and her own family was consumed by shame. The community's whispers and stares only added to the humiliation. Fatima's father, enraged by the perceived dishonor she had brought upon their family, threw her out of their home, leaving her with nothing but the clothes on her back. She was now alone and ostracized. Fatima's story is a stark reminder of the human cost of virginity testing. It is a practice that not only judges but also punishes women for their perceived purity. It is a practice that robs women of their dignity, their agency, and their future. The scars it leaves are not just physical but emotional, affecting generations. Section 5. Echoes of Change Activism in Morocco. Despite the deeply ingrained nature of virginity testing in Moroccan society, there are glimmers of hope on the horizon. A growing number of activists, both men and women, are raising their voices to challenge this harmful practice. Organizations like the Moroccan Association for the Fight Against AIDS, or ALCS, and the Democratic Association of Moroccan Women, also known as ADFM, are working tirelessly to raise awareness about the physical and psychological harms of virginity testing. They are also advocating for legal reforms to criminalize the practice and provide support for survivors. One notable campaign is My Vulva Is Mine, a movement spearheaded by activists like myself. This campaign uses art, social media, and public demonstrations to challenge societal norms around female sexuality and empower women to reclaim their bodies. These activists face an uphill battle, but their unwavering commitment to ending virginity testing is slowly shifting the tide. Section 6. A Global Perspective Virginity Testing Around the World. Sadly, the practice of virginity testing is not unique to Morocco. It exists in various forms in numerous countries around the world, often intertwined with cultural or religious beliefs. From Indonesia to India, from South Africa to parts of Europe and the Americas, the pressure to prove virginity before marriage continues to impact women's lives. The methods may differ, ranging from crude two-finger tests to hymen examinations by medical professionals, but the underlying message remains the same. A woman's worth is determined by her sexual history. This harmful practice transcends geographical boundaries and cultural contexts, highlighting the need for a global movement to eradicate it. Section 7. Challenging the status quo, legal strides and international condemnation. The fight against virginity testing has gained significant traction on the international stage. The World Health Organization, along with UN Women and UN Human Rights, has called for a global ban on the practice, recognizing it as a violation of human rights and a form of gender-based violence. Several countries have made progress in enacting legal measures to outlaw virginity testing. Bangladesh, for example, banned the practice in rape cases in 2018, while Egypt declared it illegal in 2011. These legal strides, while encouraging, are often difficult to enforce, highlighting the need for continued advocacy and societal change. In Morocco, while there is no specific law against virginity testing, activists are pushing for legislation that explicitly criminalizes the practice and protects women's rights to bodily integrity and autonomy. Section 8. Raising Our Voices, What Can You Do? The fight to end virginity testing requires a collective effort. Here are some steps you can take to support this crucial cause. Educate yourself. Learn more about virginity testing, its prevalence, and its impact on women's lives. Share this knowledge with your friends, family, and community. Support organizations. Donate to or volunteer with organizations working to end virginity testing and promote women's rights in Morocco and around the world. Raise awareness. Use your voice to speak out against virginity testing. Share stories, write letters to your elected officials, and engage in online activism. Challenge cultural norms. Engage in respectful dialogues with your family and community about the harmful effects of virginity testing. Encourage critical thinking and challenge traditional beliefs that perpetuate gender inequality. Section 9. A future free from shame, continuing the fight for women's rights. The journey towards ending virginity testing is long and arduous, but it is a fight worth fighting. By raising awareness, challenging cultural norms, and advocating for legal reforms, we can create a world where a woman's worth is not determined by her sexual history. Let us work together to empower women to make their own choices about their bodies and their lives, free from shame, coercion, and violence. A future free from virginity testing is within our reach, but it requires our collective action and unwavering commitment to gender equality.